The year is 2001 and Nintendo was on the way to release her next generation console, being the Nintendo GameCube. The GameCube was announced in the year 2000 at a press conference in Japan and would release shortly after 2001's E3 event on September 14th. While the game looked promising, Nintendo fans at the time were still iffy on the console. Nintendo needed a game to be revealed that would help boost the sales of the GameCube, and in my opinion they responded beautifully by presenting a game known as Super Smash Bros. Melee. This game would be the second installment of the Super Smash Bros. Series, and once it was revealed, the crowd absolutely erupted. It made sense because a crossover game is something fans of any series would want. Sure, they already had Smash 64, but now the graphics and roster have increased just dramatically. It's crazy to think that the love for this game still continues to be strong, as believe it or not, but people still play this game daily competitively. Seeing all the hype and love surrounding this game, you just have to wonder how Nintendo hit such a goldmine here. Melee is probably played more than Brawl and Smash 4 combined, which is crazy to think about. Knowing all of that, you just have to wonder what made Melee so good. How did it shape the next generation and create such a diehard fanbase? While I won't be going over the competitive scene for this video, I'll be reviewing the game itself and what I love about it. I decided to have the Smash game be my first Smash review mainly because this was the first ever video game I have ever touched, like, ever. While this review is a bit personal, I'll try not to be biased here as clearly Melee does have some flaws. For this video, we will be reviewing Super Smash Bros. Melee and explain why it's as good as I say it is. Let's get started. Before we get into the game, I just want to talk about the opening to this game. I always thought that for a game review, people should always review a game's first impression. It's important because of how it hooks the player into wanting to play the game. Here I believe Melee absolutely checked all the boxes to what a good first impression should look like. Everything about the intro is nearly perfect. While I do like Brawl's intro, nothing can really compare to Melee's intro. I don't know what it is, but every time I see this intro it just gets me emotional. It does a good way of introducing the characters of the game through references and core elements of each of their own games. They are presented as they should be, and it helps get the player to know these characters if they have not known them before. The music here is also phenomenal. Everything from the music to the charm of the characters and even the announcer at the end just all scream out passion. It's something Nintendo lacks nowadays, as it's hard to find any type of passion from Nintendo, especially with some unfinished games they have released recently. Definitely not looking at you, strikers. Before we talk about anything else though, we must talk about the roster. In all Smash games, fans are always eager to see who's in the roster this time. Melee was a huge upgrade from Smash 64 as the roster was almost double the size as 64's roster. They decided to add a total of 14 new characters, which must have been very exciting at the time. From the Mario series, we were introduced to Princess Peach, Bowser, and Dr. Mario? I'm honestly surprised to see Dr. Mario be added as a character because Luigi was practically already a clone of Mario. Although I wasn't even born around the release of Melee, I'm pretty sure nobody was asking for Dr. Mario here. He's pretty much Mario but heavier, meaning we just now have a light Mario and Luigi and a heavy Mario and Dr. Mario. As for the Zelda series, we have Zelda, who at the time could transform into Sheik, Ganondorf, and Young Link. I say that all these inclusions are pretty cool and it gave Zelda a good representation that it needed. We also got new Pokemon being Pichu, which and Mewtwo, which is honestly really cool. As for other characters, we have Falco from the Star Fox series alongside a few retro characters being Mr. Game & Watch and the Ice Climbers. After 15 years, the Ice Climbers have made their return, and 15 years later, they still don't have another game. Yeah, rip. Mr. Game Watch was probably the coolest addition of the entire roster, and I remember how difficult it was to unlock him, and he was pretty much a cool character to play as. Finally, we have the Fire Emblem characters being Marth and Roy. It's a little depressing as this was technically their debut game in the US, as Fire Emblem wasn't even a thing in the US at the time. It was an amazing move to have these characters though, as it really helped boost Fire Emblem to where the series is now, and always be thankful for Sakurai for including them. As for the roster in general, I'm glad that no character was cut for this game and every new character for the most part was a good addition. While I do like the roster, the concept was awesome, but the execution, it wasn't really the best. 6 of the 14 characters that they added were just clones of another character. It's obvious to figure out who, as Pichu was a clone of Pikachu, Young Link to Link, Falco to Fox, Roy to Marth, and Dr. Mario to, well, Mario. Those are easy to figure out, but I'm just genuinely wondering why Ganondorf, a character from Zelda, becomes a slower clone of Captain Falcon from F-Zero. It's kind of just such a weird combination. The reason why there's so many clones was because of time constraints, which, I mean, makes sense. While the roster was great, I would have wished we could have gotten other characters like Olimar, but unfortunately Pikmin released just a month shortly after Melee's release, so I mean, yeah, it was pretty much nearly impossible. While you could call these 6 characters a clone, I appreciate that the time was made for them to make them not carbon copies or a skin swap of a character. For instance, Ganondorf and Dr. Mario are just slower versions than their clones, and other characters have small tweaks to them that makes them unique in their own way. As for stages of this game, they've decided to add a whopping 29 stages, which is actually pretty good. I remember one of my favorite stages being Poke Floats. One of the only stages to never make it out of Melee, unfortunately, but I would say that it just makes it more unique and special here. Another favorite stage of mine has to be Fountain of Dreams, which for the GameCube looked just absolutely gorgeous. I say if they hit the nail in terms of the stages for this game, is they were able to represent every character in just 29 stages, and they just did that beautifully here. These stages compared to 64 were also more hazardous and more creative, and it makes Smash feel like a whole new fresh experience. These different hazards also bring life to each stage, making them unique. This game really was an improvement from 64, as there are even more items and more moves to every character. Despite some characters being clones, the way that they play and their movements almost make it feel like you're playing just an entirely new different character here. The game now has smash attacks and side specials along with way more to be able to dodge your opponent. It adds more elements to the game and it brings out the intensity and pacing of how Melee feels whenever you play a versus match. In terms of improvement, I'd say that the modes of Melee have also improved here. Classic mode is a treat this time around as it adds grabbing trophies while also keeping some elements such as break the targets and race to the finish. A big difference of this classic mode to 64's classic mode was the introduction of Crazy Hand. Crazy Hand is, well, a hand that's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty much it. They're a bit harder than Master Hand as they have faster and more unpredictable movements. After you beat them though, the day is saved and you get a trophy of your character like you would in any classic mode for a Smash game. Adventure mode is also a mode that was introduced in Melee and has only ever been in Melee. This mode would feature 12 areas mostly relating to the series that characters from the roster are a part of, from the Mushroom Kingdom to Pokemon Stadium to even Brinstar. It was pretty much just a side-scroller like what Brawl had for Subspace Emissary. I prefer this over the side-scroller that we got from Brawl because the enemies actually made sense for each area, unlike Brawl where every enemy was just the same and it didn't really make that much sense at all. Once you do get past through all these 12 areas, you have the opportunity to fight Giga Bowser. This boss fight probably must be one of the coolest the Smash series has shown aside from Taboo. Giga Bowser unleashes slow but powerful attacks that can kill you in a matter of seconds. All you have to do is just knock Giga Bowser off the stage and yeah, victory is yours. You also obtain a cool trophy of a character like how it is in classic mode, so that's nice. The only gripe I have with adventure mode is that the areas just never change, so you're in for a long and repetitive ride if you want a trophy for every single character in the roster. There isn't anything new nor special after the first time you play adventure mode, so for the most part it just feels really boring afterwards. All-Star mode is the last big mode, and it's as any All-Star mode goes as you fight every character from the roster of that Smash game. Many remember this All-Star mode in particular for its theme being a song that originally came from the Kirby series. It's magical and elegant, and it's a very soothing song all around. I didn't know it was an unlockable, but I guess that makes sense since you need to unlock all the characters before you can even play All-Star mode. Speaking of unlocking characters, some characters in this game are very difficult to unlock. An example of this would be Mewtwo, where you have to play versus mode for about 20 hours. You could easily reduce this number and play with like 4 friends for 5 hours, but the task is still long and hard. Another example is the final character you unlock being Mr. Game & Watch. For this character you have to be Classic, Adventure, or break the targets with every single character. This is also another long and difficult task. I do appreciate these long tasks though, as it makes these characters feel more rewarding once you actually unlock them. There are also some smaller modes that are a Smash staple at this point, such as event matches, which I never really liked to be honest. Multi-Man Smash and Home Run Contest, and of course break the targets. Event matches are pretty much the same here as you're given objectives to do that you have to complete. Multi-Man Smash is also the same thing here. Instead of Smash characters though, it's just 2 models of what appears to be a woman and Captain Falcon. Yeah, it's a sight to see, but overall these modes are cool in my opinion. I also forgot to mention that Melee also has different versions of their versus modes, but let's be honest here, everyone is just playing 3 stock matches. Special Melee is cool and all, but I feel like they have too much here. Special Melee and Brawl is well more organized here, and you can just customize whichever you want for a Special Melee. In Melee, we have all of it set into different categories. We have Camera Mode, Stamina Mode, Super Sudden Death Mode, Giant Melee Mode, Tiny Melee, Invisible Melee, Fixed Camera Mode, Single Button Mode, Lighting Melee, And violently slow melee, yeah, it's a lot. As you can see, that is a lot, and it should have been more like Brawl, where it was simpler, and you could just have whatever you want. Other than stock though, there's also coin and time battle. I almost forgot coin battle even exists, because I'm pretty sure it's not in Smash Ultimate like at all. I don't really remember anyone ever playing coin battle, so it's probably for the best if I'm being honest. Last but not least, we have the various collectibles you could collect, which are the trophies. All these trophies are pretty good, and they describe the overall trophy pretty well. I personally never have been a fan of collecting trophies in a Smash game, but Melee makes you want to collect every single trophy, believe it or not. The last setting of this game overall is the options menu, which I mean, there isn't really much to see here. You also have the option of deleting everything, including your save file, which is probably a horrible idea, especially if you spent time unlocking characters like Mewtwo and Mr. Game & Watch. Other than that, there isn't really anything else to Melee. I tried to give it my best to describe the most important parts of the game, but let's be honest, some options here are just pretty self-explanatory like clips. Before we move to the end portion of the video, I actually wanted to share a funny story of mine. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, Super Smash Bros. Melee might have been my first ever video game that I touched. I don't really remember since I was a dumb kid at the time. I call myself dumb because Melee was actually my cousin's game. I didn't own the game, and my dumbass decided to delete their entire save file. It was probably the most evil thing I've ever done like in my life, since I had Mr. Game Watch and Mewtwo, just everything unlocked. So let's just say I was banned from the GameCube shortly after this. I would genuinely say though that Super Smash Bros. Melee is in my top 20 favorite video games of all time. I'd say it's the second best Smash game, coming only short to Ultimate. At the time it broke the standard and provided a fun Nintendo crossover fighting game that people still love and play today. Sure, it has flaws like character clones, but the passion is still all there when it comes to this game. This was a once in a lifetime game, and while I wasn't necessarily born around the time of this game's release, I could still feel the magic through that reveal video. Melee was a dream that happened to some, and it left a huge impact for future Smash games and Nintendo decades later into the present day. Overall, I'd give Melee a 9 out of 10. A great game with a lot of passion alone put into it. It was able to set the future for Nintendo and beyond, and yeah, that's in my opinion a very good game. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Peace.